Good evening everyone, my name is Usagi.
I'm Zunda.
Tonight, I'll be sharing some true Japanese scary stories.
What kind of scary story is waiting for us this time?
Today, I'll be telling a few scary stories, including one called High Speed. The first story is short but it's a legendary level scary tale.
Looks like you're going to keep our viewers up all night again.
You might not be able to sleep tonight either.
I took a nap earlier, so I'll be fine.
Are you sure that will help? I had a bit of a strange hobby. My hobby was going up to the roof of my house at night and observing the town I lived in through binoculars. There was something thrilling about watching the quiet, nighttime version of my town. Watching the large water tank in the distance, the taxis carrying drunk people up the hill, or the lonely, bright vending machines, it all gave me a strange thrill. To the west of my house, there's a long hill that extends straight towards my place. From the roof, I could see the entire hill from a front-facing view. One night, as I was watching the vending machine at the side of the hill through my binoculars, thinking, oh, there's a big moth flying around, I suddenly noticed something speeding down the hill from the top at an incredible pace. What is that? I wondered, and focused my binoculars to get a closer look. What I saw was a skinny, naked childlike figure, with a huge grin on its face, waving at me as it sprinted down the hill at full speed. It was clear that this thing knew I was there and it was making direct eye contact with me. I was stunned for a moment, just staring in disbelief, but then I got this terrible feeling that something really bad was about to happen, so I rushed downstairs and into the house. I locked the door and stood there, terrified, thinking, what the hell was that? What should I do? Then, I heard it, rapid footsteps stomping up the stairs to the roof where I had been just moments ago. It was clearly looking for me. My mind was racing, this is really bad, what do I do? What the hell is that thing? I kept as quiet as possible, holding an iron, the only weapon I could find, with both hands in the middle of the living room. After a while, I heard the footsteps coming down the stairs at a fast pace. I was shaking so badly I thought I might go mad. And then suddenly, there was a loud banging on the door and the doorbell rang repeatedly. I could also hear its groaning sounds. My heart stopped for a moment and then started pounding like crazy. I was trembling uncontrollably, holding my breath. When the knocking, the doorbell, and the groaning all stopped as suddenly as they had started, leaving only silence. Even so, I couldn't relax at all and stayed frozen, clutching the iron, until the sun came up. What on earth was that thing? I'm never going to look through binoculars at night again.
Nope, nope, nope. That's too much.
Sometimes, strange hobbies can attract danger.
There's no way an iron would be enough to fight something like that. I need a shotgun.
I told you before, there are no guns in Japan.
Then I'll get a katana instead.
That's not something you usually find in a regular household either. The next story is called The Tape Recorder.
I wonder what it's about.
It's about a man who went missing in the mountains and the tape recorder he left behind. It's another short story, but it's incredibly eerie.
Okay, I'm ready to listen.
A man went hiking alone and disappeared. 3 years later, his skeletal remains were found in a marshy area of the mountains, along with his belongings, one of which was a tape recorder. The tape had recorded the man's voice calling out for help in a loud voice. It seemed that he had injured himself and was unable to move. The tape was made public by the media, but there was a part of the recording that the family and police chose not to disclose. This was because the tape had recorded something other than his pleas for help. Here's what was recorded. The man's voice, full of terror, was captured on the tape. It seemed that something was happening at night. The man was desperately recording into the tape. First day.
I can hear voices at night. I hear someone calling out. In the middle of the night, in a place where no one is, where no one should be.
Second day.
Help me. I hear the voice. At night, it comes. calling from the darkness, closer than it was yesterday. It's terrifying. Please, help me. So scary. Someone help me.
Third day.
It's close now. Help me, someone. It's close. Please, help me, please, please. Calling. No one. It's coming closer. So scary. Help. So close now. Help. Voice. Please, help.
The tape cuts off there. After that, the man recorded nothing more on the tape. The police analyzed the tape in detail. It only contained the man's voice, and no other suspicious noises. However, right at the end of the third day's recording, there was a sound unlike anything before it. Professional analysts couldn't identify it. It was a voice different from the man's, coming from right next to the recorder. As if whispered directly into his ear, clear as day.
Found you.
What on earth was getting closer to him?
It didn't seem like something friendly.
Is this story based on real events?
Yes, it's a true story.
If I heard a voice like that in the middle of the night on a mountain, my heart would stop for sure.
The next story is one that only gets scarier once you understand it.
What do you mean?
You'll figure it out if you listen closely.
Got it? I'll listen carefully.
That night, the rain was pouring down relentlessly. My friend and I decided to pass the time by testing our courage in a tunnel rumored to be haunted. We quickly got into the car and headed toward our destination. When we arrived, we pulled over and parked just before the tunnel. I don't have any sixth sense, but I did feel a creepy vibe. It could have been because I was already thinking, this place is scary. After a short break, we slowly drove into the tunnel. It was my first time doing something like this, so I felt a strange sense of excitement. My friend also looked thrilled, like a kid about to go on a ride at an amusement park. Although the place didn't seem particularly deserted, no cars followed us into the tunnel. So, we drove slowly, hoping something might happen. But nothing happened, and we reached the end of the tunnel. My friend, who had been observing the tunnel walls from the passenger seat, didn't seem to have seen any ghost either. Let's go through it one more time, I said as I turned the car around at the end of the tunnel. Again, nothing happened. A bit disappointed and a bit bored, we decided to make a few more passes through the tunnel. The rain seemed to have gotten heavier, and the sound of raindrops hitting the car was getting louder. After 3 or 4 passes, my friend suddenly said, "Let's go home." I figured he must have gotten bored since nothing out of the ordinary had happened. But there was something strange about his tone. I stopped the car near the tunnel exit and looked back, but nothing seemed out of the ordinary. My friend, who had suggested we leave, was huddled up, shivering as if he was cold. "What's wrong? Did you see something?" I asked. "Just get us out of here, now," he replied. Did my friend see something? My heart started pounding with a mix of anticipation and fear. The rain was getting worse, and the sound of it hitting the hood was starting to get on my nerves. We decided to leave the tunnel and find a place where we could calm down. We pulled into a family restaurant along the highway and finally took a breather. Even though it was nearing summer, my friend, who had been shivering uncontrollably, was starting to calm down. "Okay, you're fine now, right? What did you see?" I asked. "Didn't you hear it? That sound," my friend replied with a confused look. Did he hear a ghost's voice? I had no idea what he was talking about. Nothing in particular. I was driving, and the rain was loud too, I said. "You heard it too?" He suddenly shouted, startling me. There were hardly any people in the restaurant since it was late at night, but a nearby employee looked over in surprise. But I still had no idea what he was talking about. "What sound are you talking about? Just tell me clearly." Feeling a bit embarrassed and annoyed, I spoke a little more harshly than I intended. After a heavy silence, he finally spoke up. The rain. The sound of the rain. We were in the tunnel the whole time. Why could we hear the sound of rain hitting the car?
So that's what it was.
Did you notice something was off while I was telling the story?
Not at all.
I thought you might say that.
Hat must mean the tunnel was leaking. That kind of tunnel sounds like it could collapse at any moment, and that's scary too.
That's not exactly what I meant, but let's make this the last story. It's about a hunter.
Is it another story where he finds something strange?
No, this one is more like a fable.
That's rare. I'm looking forward to it.
A folktale I read as a child. Once, a hunter went into the mountains. As he hid, waiting for his prey, a wild boar, he noticed a spider in front of him. Just then, a frog appeared and ate the spider. The frog hopped away. Next, a snake came and swallowed the frog. The snake slithered away. Then, a large wild boar appeared out of nowhere and devoured the snake. The hunter saw his chance and aimed his gun at the boar. But then, the hunter suddenly thought, the spider was eaten by the frog was eaten by the snake, and the snake was eaten by the boar. If I shoot this boar, what will happen to me? Feeling uneasy, the hunter lowered his gun. At that moment, a loud voice echoed through the mountains. You just saved your life.
Is that what they call the circle of life?
Yes, that's right.
But if that's the case, then whoever spoke that last line would also be eaten by someone higher up, right?
I hadn't thought of that.
And then that higher being would be eaten by an even higher one. Usagi, where do people come from, and where are we headed?
Zunda, come back to reality. Alright, let's call it a day. Zunda, what did you think of the stories this time?
The scariest story for me was High Speed. It's definitely legendary. The sense of immersion was incredible.
That story is highly regarded even in Japan.
The last story also made me think a lot.
Just don't overthink it too much.
I want to hear more of them.
Sure? I'll call you again when I have more scary stories to tell. Subscribe to the channel. That way, we can meet again in the next video.
See you later, alligator.